Bob Moses, hi.
Hello.
Although I guess people probably don't actually call you Bob Moses when they're talking to you in person.
They say, who's Bob? Who's Moses?
Oh, I bet. Well, I would love to get into name semantics, but let's just jump right into everything going on. You have Love Brand New, your single out. We're playing it here on the X. I know our listeners are just obsessed with it.
Awesome. Well, thank you.
Great. We'd love to hear that.
The song.
That song, Love Brand New, it has kind of a heavier sound, lots of guitar. How did you come up with that? What was that like, working on a song like that?
We wrote it with our friends, Michelle Zitron and John Martin, in the course of an afternoon at a studio session we booked in LA. And we'd never met them before. And literally we walked into that room, and within a few short hours, we basically had a large part of that song done. And it was a lot of our influences thrown into it. It's got like some Nine Inch Nails. It's got a bit of a Queen thing. It's got sort of a Tears for Fears-y vibe. And it's just like a big triumphant song that's fun and dark all at the same time. And it's just, it's kind of like, that's kind of what Bob Moses does. It's like we're somewhere in between a rock band, somewhere in between a dance band. And I think that like this song really encompasses, it's a good, if we were going to put out a little, like, here's Bob Moses sample, I think this really fits what we do really well.
What came first out of that session? Was it the lyrics or the music?
It was the guitar riff came first. John started playing that. And then Michelle, they have this wonderful way of working where they kind of just start doing stuff. And John just picked up a guitar, started playing. And then Michelle just sort of started shouting. He has a really big boomy voice, and he just sort of started shouting melodies or just notes even. And then that really just let us go off. And I sat down at the piano and started playing, and we just kind of started kicking it all around. So, I mean, lyrics always come last. We had the guitar, we kind of worked out the chorus. We had a phrase or two, like we were halfway through making Love Brand New. That's sort of, if you're lucky enough to get a phrase like that when you're coming up with melodies, then that's good because it makes lyrics much easier later. But and then we kind of we had the kick drum and the snare and that really rumbly bass line right away, and it just kind of came together. Like Jimmy said, we had most of the idea. We had sort of the melodies and the verse chorus idea. We didn't quite have the arrangement, and we didn't have all the lyrics, and we did that later. But that's kind of usually the way it works for us with all our songs, is we get a sort of a melody idea and a sonic idea, like the sound of the core elements. And then we, if it stands up and it lasts for a few days, and we come back to it a week later and we're like, oh, this is great. Then we do the hard part of finishing lyrics.
And the lyrics, they're about a brand new love. I think that's something we've all experienced, but did you draw on your own experiences for this song, or was it just a matter of having that melody and having that hook and kind of improvising off of that?
Well, that's the really sort of awesome thing about how we write songs, is that you sort of have to write to figure out what you're writing about. So you get these ideas of something like Love Brand New, and it'll pop out and it'll sound amazing and be like, that's a really cool chorus. And then that's when you tap into your own self-experience to flesh out the meaning of a song. So, you have to, at least we feel you have to write what you know, because that's how to have the most honest connection. So these songs, all of the songs we've ever written are Tom and I's combined experiences on life. And when we write lyrics, we have really sort of philosophical chats about what do the lyrics mean. And we try to improve them to a point where they really make sense, and we have a strong story and the song has a strong identity. And, for this, like you said, it's like falling in love, experiencing everything if it's as if it's for the first time, and not losing yourself in that feeling, and being in the present and trying to enjoy it. And, COVID obviously really helped us tap into those lyrics. As the world was starting to reopen, and as we were being able to experience things that we hadn't been able to for the last few years, it kind of gave us that renewed love, that love of being in a band, being able to make music. And it's for everyone, they're going to have their own version of love, what their Love Brand New is. You know what I mean? And I think that that's what is really cool about this song in particular, and why it was so fun to write.
Yeah, and now your full album, The Silence in Between, is out. That's so exciting. What went into making this album? I know you said COVID, that had a big influence, but how did you get it from scratch to ready to release?
It was intense. We've never written as much material as we had for this album. We did a lot of sort of writing for the wastebasket, so to speak. You know, we really made sure that not only did we have a lot of time because we weren't doing any touring, and we were sort of locked away in our studio, but we also really made certain to hold ourselves to the highest standard possible and really write things that felt true and honest and exciting in a way that we haven't done we've always done that, but this really felt like turning it up a notch. I think for us, the main thing with this album is that because of all the uncertainty, a lot of our identity was tied up in being these two guys who travel around and play music for people, and our band, and in the beginning of the pandemic, at least, it kind of all the world as we knew it seemed like it was crashing down. There was not only this shutdown and this, you know, we didn't know how bad it was going to be. We didn't know how long it was going to last. There was a lot of protesting going on in the world, and sort of at the same time, it felt like a lot of maybe the ideas that we'd been holding on to, or the things that we'd been told to believe were maybe not right or needed to be checked. So there was all this stuff happening in the world, but also in our personal lives. And the album was a big sort of cathartic process for us of looking back nostalgically at the past, looking to the future, trying to figure out what that was going to be, not losing hope that the future was going to return, and sort of processing all those emotions in this sort of silence in between our old life and whatever our new life was going to be. And so this record is very emotional. It's very thoughtful. It's very honest. And we really needed to make this music. It was kind of our coping mechanism for all the uncertainty and craziness that's been going on in the world in the last couple of years. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we were very fortunate to work with a lot of great people on this record, something that like we had not had that much experience in prior. And I think, you know, the idea of us being isolated and just sort of Tom and I alone in a room, because we were in each other's bubble, obviously. So, you know, we weren't seeing very many people at all. And it was very interesting. Like a lot of our first sort of big collaborations were done over Zoom. You know, we got to work with an amazing band out of New Zealand called Broods. We got to work with Mickey Echo. We got to work with a guy named Stuart Price. And, you know, the funny thing is like with some of these sessions turned into songs that made it on the record and some of them didn't. But like we realized that you learn so much from working with people. And I think us being isolated opened ourselves up to experiences we might not have opened ourselves up to otherwise. And so we got to learn so much. And a lot of that was done over Zoom and in different rooms across the world. And we're really grateful to have been able to at least experience that in some way.
I mean, yeah, there's a lot of people we would love to work with. An act that we've always kind of wanted to work with would be Disclosure. But there's a lot of good songwriters like Andrew Watt and Andrew Wyatt and Sarah Hudson, and a lot of people who we haven't been able to work with that we kind of like to, and hopefully one day in the future we would be able to. I mean, we're pretty open-minded to, at this point now, after having these couple really good experiences, like Jimmy said, even if, you know, it's a little out of left field, or you don't think like, maybe our sounds, we can't imagine our sounds going together, or, you know, there's always something to be learned. So we're pretty open-minded to working with most anyone at this point. But those are some of the names that like are on the top of our list. But the list, you know, whenever all the time we have this conversation with our manager fair amount, and they suggest stuff, and we're like, oh yeah, that'd be amazing. So we're definitely more open to it now than we ever have been.
Yeah, lots of exciting stuff. And like you said, you know, you've kind of been in that COVID bubble working over Zoom, but now your album is out, ready. You're going on tour in the US. Your fans are going to hear what you've made live. What does that feel like?
Oh, it's the best. Like we haven't played with the band in 2 years. Like March 7th, 2020 was our last show. The first show that we're doing is sort of like a little album release party this Thursday in LA. So it'll basically be 2 years to the day that we've gotten on stage in front of people with the live band. And just the idea that doing that in of itself, even minus all the bells and whistles and lights and tours and traveling, like just being able to get back on stage and play in front of people with the band is just, that's exciting enough on its own for us right now, you know? So everything else is just going to kind of be like the cherry on top.
Do you get nervous when you're getting ready to go on, especially having not performed in almost 2 years, or are you used to it? Is that old news?
I think excited is a better word, not nervous. I mean, who knows? I might get nervous. I haven't had this experience of having a 2-year break before. We've been lucky. We've been able to do a few DJ sets and stuff over the last few months. So it's not like we haven't been on a stage of any type, but playing live with a band is more intimate and more revealing than DJing always. So that's like the full bearing of yourself. So, I mean, I think excited is a better word. There's nervous energy, but it's not nervous like, oh, I don't want to do this. It's nervous like, oh, I always say like the hour before a show is the worst, because it's like, let's hurry up and get out there already, you know?
Oh yeah. I can't even imagine. And now I know you can't reveal too much, but when you do go on and get out there, what can fans expect? What is this tour going to be like?
I mean, we released so much music during the pandemic that, you know, has done quite well for us that we haven't been able to play out live properly. So there's going to be, let alone like this new album, there's like, we did a single with Elderbrook. We had the Desire EP we put out. So lots of new music to play. We're going to have a full 4-piece band with drums and bass joining us, new light show. And we're going all over the place. So it's, you know, it's going to be a lot of the familiar favorites that people love about Bob Moses, and a lot, like, I think one of the coolest things we do is sort of, we have our set list, but then we mix between songs like a DJ set with a band. So there's like a flow that happens as opposed to like this start, stop that a band, a typical rock band might do. So we've written some really cool transitions, and we're really excited to get the show out on the road.
And you said you have so many venues and places, cities you're going to. Are there any places in particular you're looking forward to getting back to? I
mean, yes, we're looking forward to our Colorado stops, that's for sure, Denver and Boulder. And I mean, Colorado always has such a great vibe. The crowd there is special. And then everywhere, you know, we're going back to New York, which is our sort of our home away from home. It's not where we're born and raised, but it's where our band was born. So that'll be nice. And then also some more exotic places. Like we love going to Mexico. We're playing in Mexico City. We'll hopefully get back to Istanbul, which is one of our favorite cities on earth. Just crazy history there. So, I mean, like Jimmy said, we're really blessed to be able to kind of be tourists also, and go see a lot of the world. And, but yeah, those are a few of many. There's too many to list, and we love going everywhere. It's, you know, we love seeing, it's all about, when you're in that venue, you could be anywhere in the world, and you could be anywhere in the universe. And that's what's special is we all get to share those magic moments that are like, it's just us in the venue with the crowd and in the music. And that's all that really matters, and the world melts away. So, we're looking forward to all of them, but those are a few specific ones I'll shout out, you know?
Well, I'm going to be a little biased towards Colorado, but what are your favorite things here? Have you been here a lot before?
We've done Red Rocks a handful of times. We actually haven't played in Boulder, but we've done like Mishawaka. We played in Aspen and Vail and up in the mountains a bunch. So, you know, we've definitely done we've played in Colorado Springs as well at the Black Sheep. So like we've done our time in Colorado, and honestly, in America, it's probably one of the best crowds. Just like they're down for everything. And I love that, you know, in a city like Denver, you can have like the curation at like a venue like Red Rocks. You have rock bands, jam bands, dance acts, and like it's not pretentious. People are just there to have a good time. And as an act, you really feel that. Like people in Colorado aren't ashamed to let you know how stoked they are for you to be there. And I love that.
Well, I know all of our Colorado listeners will love to hear that, and that we are so stoked to have you here in April. So thank you guys again, you know, for taking the time to chat with me. Congratulations on the album and the song. I really appreciate it, and we can't wait to see you here.
Thanks for chatting. Great to chat with you too.